Hey there, Vinny from Project Frugal. We've finally done it. We've finally hit the 100k mark. It was only last night, literally 24 hours ago. We were just under $300 short, but we've cracked it. Let's find out the final results. Three and a half years ago, pretty much on the dot, we started this long and enduring journey, saving $500 a week, $1,000 a fortnight, and the end goal was simply to get $100,000, which would eventually provide passive income. We're talking maybe $4,000 to $5,000 a year in passive income, ideally after tax, all based on dividends, and that's what we set out to do. Finally, this journey is over. Let's go and crack open the numbers and see what's happened. And here we go, another day on the market, pretty much the final day on the market, and another ripper after yesterday's ripper. Today wasn't as ripping, but hey, it was still ripping enough to get over that magical $100,000 mark. So according to Sharesies, $100,224.27. What has happened today for the very last time? Not a lot. We got $14.08 for property for industry, which was supposed to pay out yesterday, paid out today, whopping $14.08. Naturally, that went into the Sharesies save, and that's pretty much all that's happened, and the rest of it has been pretty much capital gains. Let's move on to the application. Let's have a look. $466.54, another fantastic day, no doubt about it. We've put in $97,500 onto the portfolio. Just over $2,600 or almost $2,700 is in the wallet. So our final total here, $100,208.77. So episode 90, what are we up to now? 91, 92? Well, it's episode 92. But we have done 91 fortnights of putting $1,000 in, which equates to $91,000. In theory, we've made, well, roughly $9,200 in profit on paper at least. So we will do probably pretty much nothing with this portfolio now. Just have a little bit of a break, just consolidate. Maybe we'll go out for dinner, something like that. Fantastic milestone. It really is a fantastic milestone to get to this mark. After you've been dreaming about something like this for 3.5 years and you finally get it, well, that's worth celebrating. Numbers are out a little bit here. We've got $9,354.16 in terms of the profits that we've got. So some of that will be fees, some of it will be the interest, all that sort of stuff. Haven't really taken too much consideration into that. The bottom line is we've put in $91,000. We're up to $100,208.77 of money that we could theoretically pull out today if we really needed to. The good news is we don't need to. So that is good news. Let's see what's happening. There's a lot of dividends coming up very shortly in December. Got $141 for ANZ Bank. Now this is probably in Australian dollars, so it'll be slightly higher than that, might be 150, maybe 155, something around that mark. Barramundi, almost $50, $10.34, $41. $305 for Turners. Glad we got that one. That's going to get paid out at the end of January, so that will be a bonus. And another $71.80, also in Australian dollars, so probably closer to the $80 mark from Westpac Banking Corporation. Now that we've got the $100,000 in this portfolio, all we're going to be doing pretty much from now on, collecting dividends, reinvesting the dividends, buying more shares. That's pretty much it. And one day when we're about to retire, or when we do actually retire, we'll use this dividend income as our primary source of passive income. That's the plan. Will it work? Well, as long as we keep saving and investing, yes it will. And at the end of the day, we've still got a buffer here. We can spend this money if we really need to. Ideally, we just use it for income generation, and at this stage, $4,000 to $5,000 a year sounds pretty good. If we can replicate this a few more times, well, we'll be getting up to $25,000, $26,000. At the moment, we need $26,000 a year to cover our core expenses since we don't have a mortgage. That's how much we need. So if we could get $5,000 out of this portfolio, that tells me that we need somewhere around the $500,000 mark worth of shares that are paying approximately 5%. We can get 25 grand out of that. Now that is a long way to go, but if you don't start somewhere, You'll never get there, and we have at least made a decent start. Having one final look here at the winners and losers in terms of the portfolio, Turners Automotive has got the most money in it, and it also has made the most profit for us, almost $5,700. We've put in just over $24,000. Well, we haven't actually put in $24,000, but that's how much we've made. So we've probably put in $18,000 to $19,000, and we made almost $6,000 on that one. Fonterra Shareholders Fund, that's also treated us well. How many instruments have we got? We got 24 investments here. Looking at these numbers, we got 10 that have performed well and are positive, and the other 14 have not performed well and are negative. But despite all that, we're still up $9,200-ish, which is pretty good because we have actually put most of the money into these ones that have been performing well, and anything that hasn't been performing well, we haven't really invested in it. Even though these might be at bargain prices, these companies have not performed according to what the market says. So the warehouse being the prime example there, it has pretty much lost a fortune. We've put in, how much have we put in there? Well, roughly around $3,500, $3,600, and we're left with $1,400. In hindsight, yeah, it wasn't a good buy, but you know, this is the way things go. The share price is not that flash at the moment. What have we got? $1.04. We paid on average almost $3 per share, so we're down to a third of the value of what it was. Will the warehouse turn things around? Who knows? Not my decision. I'm not in control of their company. We do have a stake in it. It's not a huge stake. It's potentially a $3,000, $3,600 stake. If they can recover, get back to where they were, and we break even, then maybe we'll just hold on to it, get the dividends, whatever dividends they may pay out. If it goes bust, well, you know, so be it. Companies will go bust in terms of this portfolio, so maybe it's a good idea to have some index funds as well, and that way you're riding out the highs and the lows. You might not get the super great gains, you might not get the super low lows, that's for sure, but you will probably, you won't have to time the market. It's probably the way to go rather than buying individual stocks. But we've got some dividends coming up. That's the main thing. Today's been another fantastic day. These are all performing well. We've bought the shares. How many shares do we have? Just over 30,000 shares in this $100,000 portfolio. And I can finally say it's now a $100,000 portfolio. It would be nice, probably over the next few months, maybe just to put actually $100,000 of capital into this, just to round it off. And that way, if we've got put in $100,000 of our own money, and it goes up to, whatever it goes up to, let's say 115,000, we can see directly there, well, we've made an extra 15,000 on this portfolio. Any other dividends will just get tacked onto that, and that'll slowly creep up as well. One final look at the NZX50 charts. Well, I think we're pretty much stuck on what we had yesterday. It's looking pretty much the same. It's stuck on the 19th/20th. What is today? It's the 26th. We're a week behind. I don't know what's going on there. Never mind. How sad. Too bad. We got 100 grand. That's all that counts. Having a look at the dividends, you can see here 2021 we made a whopping $486.66, which is a reasonable start. Nothing wrong with that. 2022, the bad financial year, $1,606. Yeah, well, that's definitely on the way up. $2,876.05 last year, 2023. This year so far, $3,634. That will eclipse $4,000. And because we'll be fully funded for the 2025 year, we should be expecting roughly around $4,500. There'll be extra dividends that go on top of that as well. Dividends on dividends. Yeah, compound interest on compound interest. You know the drill. And that about wraps it up for this series. So if you have watched some of these episodes, thanks very much. It has been a long, slow journey, but we made it. If you set a goal and you start making steps towards achieving that goal, eventually you will achieve that goal. So yeah, thanks very much. We'll catch you later and have a good one. Bye-bye.